Hello, my name is Matthew Lewis. I am here on FrConventions. We're here at Dreamy Convention talking about all things Harry Potter, in which I of course played Neville Longbottom. Yeah, I was a huge fan. I'd always been a keen reader. My mum had brought me up reading books, and I fell in love with the books when I was 8, 9 years old. I think I'd read certainly the first 3. I think even the first 4 when the audition came up. And they announced that they were going to make a film, and I'd been acting at that point for about 5, 6 years. So I already had experience certainly in television. So I was desperate to go to this open audition. And it was open, anyone could go. It was, I believe that nationwide they interviewed something like 40,000 children. Not for Neville, it was for any role whatsoever. And 2 months passed before we heard anything, which was very unusual for me personally. I mean, everything that I'd done up until that point, you either found out the same day or within a couple of days. So for it to take 2 months, I just assumed it was done. I wasn't going to be in it. But I guess that's how long it took to sift through 40,000 people. And eventually we got a call saying, would I like to go to the studios, Leeds Studios, to meet Chris Columbus and a couple of other guys to audition for Neville. And having read the books, I knew the role, I knew it well. Very excited to go and do that. Just did that, and then at the same time we did it moved on to a screen test, where I had the costume on and we were on the Gryffindor common room set, and Chris and I acted out the I'll fight you scene. And then a couple of days later we got a call back at home and saying we would like you to play Neville Longbottom, which, yeah, I mean, it's hard to put into words. I kind of went ballistic, really. I ran into the living room and was jumping up and down on cushions, throwing things, and yeah, it was a pretty wild time, and it's just been a bit of a roller coaster ever since. That you do have to often, I know people say it as a turn of phrase, but it's actually very true. You do have to pinch yourself a lot, even now at 34. Going, is this real? Has this really been my life? You know. Oh, certainly. I mean, absolutely. Every actor wants to be as involved as much as they can. They want to be in as many scenes as they can, have as many lines as they can. But also, I just was very protective of the character, and I wanted to. I think he's incredibly well written. I think that he is an incredible inspiration, and I think that it's important that inspiration comes from knowing where it all stems from, what motivates him. And so I would have liked people to know about that, and people did know about it. People, you know, through the films they learnt about it, but it would have been nice if we could have shown a little bit more of it. You know, they say you should show, not tell, and we had to tell, which was a bit of a shame. But the films are the films. We had limited time. We had to get as much in of the books as we could, while still making a coherent picture, and so the caveat of that is that things have to be cut, and I know that David Yates was very reluctant to do that. I think that David was a fan of Neville as well. I think that David was as equally as passionate about him as I was. I got that impression immediately when David Yates joined the films, and I remember that when we had to cut specifically in Order of the Phoenix, we had to cut Neville visiting St Mungo's Hospital with his parents. And I remember David was really cut up about that. He apologised to me personally. So I'm so sorry we're not gonna get this scene. We really wanted to. Unfortunately, we had to end up sort of cramming that into a bit of exposition in the room of requirement, which was difficult because I was thinking then, well, this is the crux of Neville's entire being. This is what, you know, what's going to happen later on. He behaves that way, and he becomes this champion of goodness because of what he's about to reveal right now, and not being able to show that and having to put that into as a few sentences I felt a great deal of pressure, but hopefully people at least understood a little bit through that. I remember in film 6 we had to cut a bunch of Neville stuff, and I remember David saying there's a scene where I'm in the Slughorn's party and I'm handing drinks out, which Neville wasn't originally. And David just said, I just want more Neville in this film. We've had to cut so much of him out to make the film make sense, but I need him in the film as a character. So he was trying to find places to just sort of shoehorn me back in because he wanted Neville in there as much as possible. But that's filmmaking, it comes with it. Absolutely, and it's one of my proudest, I guess, achievements. I don't really feel like I can really take credit for the achievement. You know, it was in the writing, but it is one of my proudest achievements, I guess, that people who watch the films often come up to me and they say how Neville helped them. You know, they were that kid at school. They were the ones that were bullied. They were the ones that were shy. They were the ones that never spoke up. But Neville helped them through certain things, inspired them to be braver, more courageous, inspired them to stand up for what they believed in, for what was right, and that's incredible. I mean, as an actor, we want to tell stories. We want to, you know, through stories, what are we doing? We're teaching. I mean, stories aren't just entertainment. They're teaching moments. They're ethics lessons. They're moral stories, and we make sense of the world and how we interpret the world through stories. And to know that something that I've done has helped not only people to come out of their shells, for people to lead more fulfilling lives, but to help people just see good and fight for good and do the right thing. I mean, that's incredible. It's this silly little film we made that actually has real life implications for people. I mean, that's absurd. I never thought that would happen, and so when people come and tell me stuff like that, it's really quite amazing. And again, I can't take credit for it, that's the character, but I was very fortunate that I got to portray that on screen. Yeah, I mean, in a weird way, I wasn't sad about it. I did at times feel like I should be. I was like, should I be more sad about this? You know, some people were crying when we were finishing. Some people were, you know, very, very noticeably choked up and emotional about it, and I never was. And I was like, am I broken? Should I be upset about this? But actually, it was very similar to Neville, I think, in that I outgrew it. There was a point when I was younger at which Harry Potter was very much me, and I was defined by it as a job. And I was like 14, 15, and I was thinking, eventually this journey's going to come to an end, and I don't know who I am without it. But as the films went on and we got towards the end, just like Neville, I found who I was, and I guess I grew beyond it. And by the end of it, I was very content to finish. I felt like I was very happy with how we'd completed the series, how we'd completed Neville's story and arc, and I was ready for the next phase of life, like I imagined Neville was when he finally graduated Hogwarts. After the final battle, he was now, I'm done with school, I'm done with Hogwarts, I am now ready for, he ended up going back as a teacher, but what I mean is he's done being a student, he is now ready for the next phase of his life, and I felt the exact same way as him. And so those final weeks, they were of course sad, we weren't going to see each other as much anymore, and it was the end of it, but I felt a tremendous sense of excitement about what was going to be coming next. It was, for 10 years I always knew what was coming next. We're making another film. For the first time in my life, at 21 years old, I suddenly didn't know what was happening next. That was very exciting. I think a lot of people might be quite intimidated by that, but I was excited by it.